Welcome to ESPN's continuing coverage of the basketball tournament, the $2 million winner-take-all affair that has reached the Sweet 16 here in Atlanta. And a matchup tonight in the Midwest region, the PrimeTime Players. From Charlotte, Rock Hill, South Carolina, getting set to take on the Buckeye alums, the Scarlet and Gray, the top seed in this region. Team Fredette moments ago knocked off Fort Wayne 104-91 to advance. Hi everybody, welcome to Atlanta. Bob Rathman, Fran Fraschilla, great to have you with us. And Fran, we were witness to one of the great TBT performances of all time. Jimmer Fredette just went for 41.
Well, what's new? He electrified this crowd. We've seen him do it at BYU. He does it over in China, and it was fun. He had the place rocking and rolling. This crowd was into it, and that was a great performance.
Now, here comes the top seed, Scarlet and Gray, who got here on the back of Jared Sullinger, but he's not here tonight. He's off getting married. But this is a Scarlet and Gray team that has tremendous depth.
And they know how to win. This is a team that in 2011 was the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. And yes, they're led by Aaron Craft, the outstanding guard, one of the best defensive guards in college basketball in the last decade, dropping dimes as well. And Aaron Craft doing his thing overseas. John Diebler is as well, always known as a shooter, and that's what he has done in this tournament. And without Sullinger, they still have a lot of weapons.
But the big story for Scarlet and Gray, you lose Jared Sullinger, and coming off the bench and to the rescue in the middle is none other than Greg Oden. And he's standing by with Jen Hale.
Bob, that's a pretty good rescue call to be able to bring in Greg Oden. Greg, you're about to play your first game since China 3 years ago. What can we expect to see out of you in your role tonight with Scarlet and Gray?
To get down the court. I'm here to be a big body, try to help out on defense and get some rebounds, and we'll see how it goes.
It's going to be fun for the fans. We're excited to watch. You're at Ohio State. You got to practice some with Sully before he left to get married. Do you feel like there's any problems gelling since this is your first game, or since you're with these guys all the time, is it going to be like riding a bike?
Well, I mean, these guys all know basketball, so it shouldn't take that long for me to get into the groove of things. It's more about the wind and just getting up and down the court. But, you know, I see these guys all the time. I practiced with them a couple of times, and, you know, congrats to Sully, and he balled out last weekend.
Are you excited at all to be back on the court?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I felt good, and I said I felt good enough. I think I can give you a couple of minutes here or there. So, you know, we're definitely going to see how it goes.
Well, I got to tell you, folks are ready to see more than a couple minutes from you. This crowd's fired up. You're here. Thanks so much for your time. Have fun.
Thank you.
Bob.
And the basketball world, Fran, is excited to see Greg Oden make it back out onto the hardwood.
Absolutely. He's now a student manager at Ohio State for Coach Chris Holtman. And not surprisingly, here in Atlanta, there is a huge Buckeye contingent to watch him and his teammates.
Okay, that's Goliath. How about David, the PrimeTime Players?
You know, this is a great story. This is a group of guys from the Charlotte, North Carolina, Rock Hill, South Carolina area. That's a suburb of Charlotte. They all, for the most part, are small college players in and around the state, and they've played together for at least 5 years. They play on a minor league circuit. They've probably played an average, I don't know, of 50, 60 games a summer, and they can all score. And that young man, Terrell Smith, all he did last weekend was knock in 14 threes for the PrimeTime Players.
Let's take a look at our rules. It's a mix of NCAA, NBA, and international basketball rules. You get an extra foul here rather than college. You get 6 like the NBA. On the 5th foul, non-shooting fouls, you get 2 free throws. The goaltending rule is the FIBA rule, so you can go up and knock it out of the cylinder if you so choose. We haven't seen a lot of that. I don't think the guys are really all that used to it here. The timeout situation, you get 3 30s, 160, 2 of the threes, 30-second timeouts carry over to the second half. But this, Fran, is what everybody's talking about in basketball, the Elam ending.
Exactly. When there's a dead ball under the 4-minute mark, the team that is leading, you add 7 points to their score, and that becomes the target score for both teams, so the clock is irrelevant. And think back to your days at the Y or at the gym. Play to 11, play to 21. In this case, you play to the target score.
And the opening tip to Scarlet and Gray. Mike Nance, John Heatley, Chuck Jones, our officials tonight. This is game 2, the winner to meet Team Fredette. Scarlet and Gray has looked methodical in their opening 2 wins in the tournament. Rogers short on the 3, and Chris Moore with the rebound for the PrimeTime Players.
Now these guys get up and down, Bob, and they all can score.
And Moore, the left-hander, missing the 3. Greg Oden pulling down the game's first rebound for the Scarlet and Gray. Kraft buried on the baseline, looping it back out to Buford.
I think Buford and Whitey have to have big games tonight.
Buford gets a look, and that's in.
Yep. Could have been basket interference as well.
William Buford opens the scoring, and a nice takeaway there by Rogers. Buford inside the ring.
This guy can shoot it.
Smith, and fouled by Rogers. So Terrell Smith will be headed to the foul line, and 3 free throws coming his way. A West Columbia, South Carolina product. He steps up, and this is every man's team. These guys have regular jobs. they have formed this team that's been playing actually since 1991 in various forms.
Yes, yeah.
In different leagues.
Yeah, they've had guys come and go, but for the most part, they play in a league called the East Coast Basketball League, which is basically a minor league, semi-pro league. And to your point, for the most of them, this is not their full-time job like many of these guys in the tournament who play overseas and in the G League.
Smith playing in his 4th TBT. Played small college ball in South Carolina, Spartanburg Methodist and Limestone. He hits all 3 of his free throws for a 1-point lead. Oden on the block. Still powerful. Moves in and scores on the reverse.
Very interesting that Scooney Pence started Greg Oden tonight. And I think that's smart because you don't want a big guy languishing on the bench. Get him out there, get him breaking a sweat, and he looks good early.
Withers. Follow, no, but a whistle. And a foul on Leon Rogers underneath. And he's picked up 2 quick personal fouls.
Now watch Greg Oden go to work on Withers right here. Curtis Withers, a really good player at Charlotte for the 49ers, still playing overseas.
Right now our broadcast on both ESPN and ESPN2. So to the viewers on ESPN, we welcome you to Atlanta. Bob Rathman, Fran Fraschilla, Jen Hale, and the TBT, day 2 of 4 here. We're at the Sports Arena on the campus of Georgia State University, downtown Atlanta.
I don't know how you feel, but after that Jimmer Fredette performance in the first game, he should have been on both channels. As good as he was.
41 points for Jimmer. And Jeff Ledbetter right there with him. Hit 5 threes, scored 17. This one tied at 4 as again they dial up Oden in the post. Sean Barnett, number 6, a Rock Hill, South Carolina product, drives through. Kraft slams it off. Barnett out of bounds. And the Buckeye boys get the basketball.
And that was vintage Aaron Kraft right there.
Yeah, he's done that a few times.
He sure has. Well, I think he's one of the best defensive players in college basketball in the last decade.
2-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year and the National Player of the Year defensively in 2014.
Oh,
this one ricochets off the knee.
Yep.
That one went off lighty out of bounds.
Smart play by P.J. Heath, another one of those Rock Hill guys. And you hear us mention Rock Hill tonight a lot, Bob. That's basically Charlotte suburb, right across the South Carolina border.
And basically the home base
yes.
For this team. They defeated Big X Sunday to get here, 70-67. In what was a bizarre second half, they shot just 24% and still won the game. Of course, that Elam ending kicked in, that helped. Oden wraps up Curtis Withers. And Greg Oden commits his first.
Well, that's the disadvantage that Scarlet and Gray has, is that this is a quick team. And Withers is a center for this team, and this guy's comfortable right there.
And strips the cords from distance, Curtis Withers.
He's one of those guys in college at Charlotte. He had 1,700 points, over 1,000 rebounds. That's rare.
Played for Bobby Lutz with the 49ers. Kraft missing. Primetime Players in transition. And stepping out of bounds was Sean Barnett. The ball belongs to Scarlet and Gray.
It's good D. Let's go.
Our coaches are mic'd for tonight's game and throughout the tournament this weekend. We'll be listening in from time to time.
Good screen.
And the three-pointer is good by William Buford.
Really good job by Aaron Kraft. When Ravenel had that ball in the low post, Kraft screened Buford's man in, and he couldn't recover. That's good basketball.
Three-pointer lipping out for Sean Barnett. Scarlet and Gray even at 7. This three-pointer's around the rim and in for David Lighty.
Well, I mentioned that they're going to have a big performance from Lighty and Buford today without the inside scoring of Jared Solinger, who is off getting married.
Oden had the layup covered. Back out to Withers. Long one from Smith. It's taken down by Ravenel. 10-7, Scarlet and Gray with the lead. And using the size to their advantage. Oden with a soft touch.
Good basketball right there. Good inside out from David Lighty, a former teammate of Greg Oden's. They played together on that Final Four team, Bob, didn't they?
Yes. Three from the corner is good for Chris Moore. You cannot take the Primetime Players lightly. 12-10.
They're not prime time for no reason. I know that.
The rebound to Withers. Withers will hoist up a three and knock it down. His second three tonight.
And I think that's why Scooty Penn's going to have to go small right here. As good an advantage as Oden gives you offensively. Right now he's a liability guarding Withers.
And we have a timeout at 3:59. For those of you watching on ESPN2, join us over on ESPN as we switch up the networks.
I got Dave in there, man. He's going to be up there. So y'all got to talk.
The basketball tournament is brought to you by Puma Basketball and by Sling TV. The live TV you love, only better and only $25 a month. Start watching 7 days free at sling.com. The beautiful, breathtaking Georgia Aquarium here in Atlanta. The PrimeTime Players up 13-12. Bob Rathman, Fran Fraschilla with you. And the third member of our crew is Jen Hale. Jen.
Well, Bob, you and Fran were talking about the PrimeTime Players and how much success they've had in the minor leagues. What they really want this weekend is their first ever Super 16 victory here at TBT. Let me tell you about their week. It's crazy. So they won last Sunday night in Columbus, Ohio, drove through the night to get back to Charlotte. Folks like Curtis Withers and his teammates, they had to clock in at work on Monday morning. They had a shoot around Monday. They played 2 more minor league games Tuesday and Wednesday, then drove here to Atlanta on Thursday. So this is a scrappy, hungry bunch. They don't take anything lightly, and they give everything 110%. Nothing's been handed to them.
It's a remarkable story, and a lay-in here by P.J. Heath keeps it going. They've got the lead at 15-14.
So that means they should be sharp, right, Bob? Played a lot of basketball
sleep deprived,
this
one
week.
of the two.
It's funny, Withers is the only guy that played at the, a high level of basketball.
And Scarlet Gray turning it over. Bounce ahead to Smith. Tried the lob, that's deflected. Scarlet and Gray gets it back. Lighty to Kraft in the corner. Long rebound. Coming out Lauderdale, giving it up. The little runner on the baseline is no good. That's tapped back out to Kraft.
Got a whole new clock right here. They don't have to force it.
Lighty scoop to the hoop. Taken down by Withers. Chris Moore fighting for that rebound, but could not keep it away. Kraft able to make the play for Scarlet and Gray. 15-14.
I was watching that aquarium, and I was thinking of Aaron Kraft right there. He's like a piranha when there's a loose ball. Do you see him get that?
Kraft tries the right corner with a little more success. Aaron Kraft nailing the three-pointer.
He said he's been working on that. Every summer he comes back to Columbus, he works on that shot.
And this one takes a victory lap and drops for Barnett. 17 all, under 2 first quarter. Scarlet and Gray, the team that lost in the finals last year to the 3-time champs, overseas elite. And an air ball for Diebler. Changes as Odell Turner comes in for PrimeTime. Here's the Aaron Kraft corner 3.
Yep, that's what he has worked on. That was not his strength playing at Ohio State. He's having a really good European career. His Monaco team was the best team in the French Pro A League in the early part of the year. He's going to play in Montenegro next year.
Mike Davis with a deep 3. Brunswick, Georgia product. Played small college ball at Francis Marion in Queens with a big-time 3.
Yeah, but he had a great 2 years for Bart Lundy at Queens.
Offensive foul, Scarlet and Gray. Extending the arm was William Buford.
Take a look right here. Scrappy defense by Smith, who's not just a scorer. Watch him move his feet. He's allowed to move sideways or backwards, and that's legal play. Good defense.
Barnett using the screen. Davis underneath, kicks it back out. Another drive and length to the rim for Terrell Smith.
You know, the one thing he showed in Columbus is he can put points on the board. He averaged 24 points in each of those 2 wins.
Diebler rifles it to the corner. Good ball movement. Ravenel with 3. Evan on that 2011 Final Four Ohio State team.
That's a young man that transferred from Boston College and gave them good backup minutes behind Sullinger.
Off the bounce. Tapped out to Davis. His three. Swish. Mike Davis.
He had 2 really good years at Queens University. That's a beautiful campus, by the way.
In Charlotte.
Yeah, it's in a really wealthy neighborhood. I think Jay Billis lives there.
And at the first quarter horn, a three-pointer for Bigram. So with that, the Primetime Players leads is sliced to 2 as we come to the end of the first quarter. The TBT, a David and Goliath matchup. Scarlet and Gray against the Primetime Players. Game on in the ATL. Saturday on ABC, the 15th WNBA All-Star Game at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific from the Target Center in Minneapolis. You can always watch it streaming live on the ESPN app from anywhere. And in the TBT, fans of the winning team get a 10% share of the winning team's $2 million prize. So if you think you know who's going to win the TBT this year, go to thetournament.com, register as a fan, support the team that you think is going to win, and start earning points. The current top fan for the Primetime Players is Steph M., while the top fan for Scarlet and Gray is Roy M. And if their team goes on to win this year, they would win $40,000.
Pretty good payday to be a fan. As Terrell Smith is right in front of us.
Fan pays off.
Giving my man some 5 because he's a Primetime player. Well, got to give him some love, right?
That's right.
Having his name.
We're all about the love at the TBT.
We mentioned his name on national TV. He deserves it.
25-23, Primetime Players lead. In possession as we start period number 2, 9-minute quarters. Street launching. Primetime Players with 5 threes in that first period. Scarlet and Gray also had 5 by 5 different players. Oden held. And this foul charge to Jervon Presley.
And if you're going to post up Greg Oden, you got to get closer and you got to get deeper on that sideline. So when you feed it to him, you're taking your big fella to the basket and not away from the basket.
Fran, let me ask you a coaching point on feeding the post.
Yes, sir.
Is it becoming a bit of a lost art with the advent of so many three-point
Yes.
shots?
When I watch college practices during the season, I rarely watch teams practice throwing the ball into the post. And what you have to do, Bob, is you have to pass it into the post below the foul line extended, so the pass takes your big guy to the basket. If you pass it from too far out, you're taking him away from the hoop, and that is a lost art.
Presley, sort of a wild hook shot. Scarlet and Gray down by 2. A lot of the fans that have stayed for the nightcap. It's an offensive foul as Buford pushes off his second. I think a lot of the fans are still catching their breath after watching Jimmer Fredette drop 41 in the opener.
Absolutely. He had this place in a frenzy for a while. All right, now the Buckeye fans who have traveled here, a bit quiet and reserved.
Victor Street Jr. driving. And strong off the window. Lighty in transition. Hits the brakes. Lighty rejected, and a beauty by Terrell Smith. Trailed the play perfectly.
Absolutely. He's more than just an offensive juggernaut. Terrell Smith using that athleticism.
Let's listen in to head coach Scooney Penn of Scarlet and Gray.
Stay by yourself. Help side. Move. And one. Damn, go to West and one. Damn, we can't get a call down here. Fuck y'all doing? Ref, no foul there. Then that was clearly a foul. Go. We got it now. Flopping.
Boy, you coaches.
Scooney Penn is new to this. He was an outstanding player at Ohio State after transferring from Boston College and had a great career in Europe. And he's now part of Chris Holtman's coaching staff at Ohio State.
Yes, he is. He's the director of player development for Chris. Pegram missing, and this rebound belongs to the primetime players. Terrell Smith high to claim it.
Scooney still has that Boston accent.
Smith for 3.
Oh, that's not unusual. We saw Jimmer Fredette light it up in the first half, and much like last weekend when Terrell Smith was on fire, you don't want to let him get going.
And the whistle, that's going to be an offensive foul. Let's check in with Jen.
Bob, you guys were talking about Greg Oden and his role with the Ohio State coaching staff, as well as Scooney Penn. Greg Oden, of course, an assistant as well. And the reason he's still there, it was very important to Greg to go back to Ohio State and finish his degree. He's majoring in sports management, and he said it was a crucial goal for him to be a college graduate. It's something that, after sitting out for 3 years, it really became evident to him. Of course, his career derailed by injuries, both in the NBA and overseas in China. He retired 3 years ago from basketball, but wants to stay in the sports world, and it's just such an awesome example to the younger players at Ohio State coming up of how important getting that education is.
It's interesting, Bob. I watched Greg Oden play as a high school sophomore in Indianapolis, and many of us really thought prior to the injuries that he was the second coming of Bill Russell. He was such a dominant defensive force, and certainly, as Jen mentioned, those injuries derailed his career. And it's just great to see him back out on the court running up and down.
Have fun with this game.
Yes.
Greg Oden is a freshman, of course, leading Ohio State to the national championship game, which interestingly enough was played right here in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome against the Florida Gators. And before his first day in training camp with the Blazers, microfracture, right knee surgery, and the injury story began.
Isn't it amazing that the Blazers did not draft Michael Jordan, and they took Sam Bowie instead? And then they certainly obviously passed up on Kevin Durant in favor of Greg Oden, who suffered a similar career debilitating injury.
And they got their hands on Bill Walton, and they got him
right.
healthy enough to win a championship
Well,
for
that's
1
true.
year.
Yep. There you see the big guy operating at a Indianapolis Lawrence North. Now his high school teammate turned out to be a pretty good player, Mike Conley Jr., who I think anybody who follows the NBA hope he returns healthy
Yes.
this season.
Speaking of comebacks from
Yep.
injury. David Lighty.
Yep, I mentioned earlier, it's got to be Lighty and Buford. And Buford right now saddled with 3 fouls on that bench, all offensive fouls.
And you do get 6, keep in mind, in
Yep.
the TBT.
Good point.
Street. And that's a travel. Aaron Kraft and the Scarlet Gray cranking up the defensive pressure a bit.
Yep. Victor Street, you can't blame him. He's one of those guys that had to report to work Monday morning. He's a hospital healthcare administrator with a master's degree.
Watching those guys in the post game in Columbus last weekend, I loved it. You know, they're saying, this is great, but man, we got to hit the road. We got to get back to work tomorrow
We got to get
morning.
back to work because the TBT, as I understand it, they pay for all expenses for the Super 16 and beyond.
Yes.
So you have to earn your way to the Super 16.
And Greg Oden just muscling his way inside. And now a delayed game warning against Scarlet and Gray.
Greg should know you can't do that. He played enough NBA basketball. Had some outstanding officiating in this tournament. Last night was an interesting ending with the foul call that led to the win by Overseas Elite.
Leon Rogers picks up his 3rd foul, and it's going to send Sean Barnett to the free throw line.
Now, Leon Rogers is not the most famous person out of Eastmoor Academy in Columbus. You know who that would be? Archie Griffin. And he's not even the 2nd most famous. Artemis Pyle, a member of Leonard Skinner. Also an
You
East.
were going deep in the saddlebag.
I'm a former
here.
Ohio State Buckeye. I know my Columbus high school trivia.
Barnett at the line. The foul was switched to Oden. So that's 3 on Greg. And Barnett gives the PrimeTime Players a 4-point lead at 33-29. 5-minute mark. 2nd quarter. Oden again getting deep post-up position. Diebler.
Contested shots. Those are tough shots.
Three bumped off the rim. Kraft's got it. 2-on-1 the other way. Aaron waits. Diebler trailing. Hits a 3.
That's Houston Rocket style basketball right there. He had the lob or the give off to Oden, but he knew Diebler was trailing, and he got 3 instead of 2.
33-32. Scarlet and Gray now down 1, and that's a travel. So how, Fran, do you see this game settling in? The size and strength against the quickness?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like you look at Oden going to the bench right now. You know, Ohio State has, without Sullinger and B.J. Mullins, who decided not to play, wasn't happy with his share of the winnings. If they win, they still have Rogers, Lauderdale, Ravenel, and Oden, and so they have a big team. And I don't know that Ohio State has enough guard play to slow down PrimeTime Players. Now, they're the favorite, obviously, but this is a matchup problem for them.
And that's going to be a foul charged to Sean Barnett. That's his 1st.
Now, this happened to Ohio State last year in the semifinals. Aaron Kraft fouled out very early in the 2nd half because they don't really have a lot of backcourt depth, but they do have this connection. Aaron Kraft, he knows where his former teammate is, and that's the all-time leading scorer in high school basketball in Ohio. Diebler knocking it down.
Saturday, the International Champions Cup continues on ESPN and ESPN Deportes with Manchester United Liverpool at 5 Eastern Time. Then it's Bayern Munich and Man City, finishing up with Barcelona Tottenham at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. All 3 matches available streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. The 6th Annual International Champions Cup is presented by Heineken. Super 16 in Atlanta. Watched earlier Jimmer Fredette and his team advance. Here's a look at the other side. The top seed, Boeheim's Army, they'll crank it up tomorrow against Armored Athlete. The 3rd seed, Golden Eagles, the bunch from Marquette, will take on the Talladega Knights, another great story. And then the winners advancing last night, top seeds move on. Overseas Elite, the 3-time defending champs, and the VCU Ram Nation, number 2 seed. They'll meet Sunday.
Got 3 alumni teams on that side of the bracket. Of course, Ram Nation, the VCU, and Syracuse, Marquette. The Talladega Knights, interesting team. They're from Philly. How does that make sense?
And they are named after the movie. An illegal screen against Scarlet and Gray, and this will go against Dallas Lauderdale.
And take a look. There's another moving screen. That's a good call.
It was.
Dallas Lauderdale has played enough basketball to know better. Young man out of Solon, Ohio.
7 turnovers for Scarlet and Gray. Launching Mike Davis from the wing. And this one is going to trickle out of bounds and belong to PrimeTime Players.
I would say, Bob, that this Scarlet and Gray team without Jared Sullinger out of sorts right now. The dominant player one of the dominant players in this tournament so far, Sullinger, off getting married this weekend.
Matrimony cutting into the TBT.
Where are your priorities, young man?
Don't you look at the schedule?
Yeah. You know what you can do with that?
There's $2 million on the line.
Yeah, that's about a $200,000 cut. Jared had an outstanding season in China, trying to work his way back in the NBA. He looked very good last weekend. Very svelte, active, athletic, but missed tonight.
Barnett missing. Aaron Kraft getting things running here for the Ohio State alums. Short in the lane for Rogers. And this one squirts out of bounds. Scarlet and Gray ball. 3:08, 2nd quarter. Chris Thomas, the head coach of the PrimeTime Players. Diebler. Lighty gets out of trouble. Kraft fakes, now gives, and Diebler drills another one. John's 2nd 3 of the period. Scarlet and Gray back on top.
Nice delivery from Aaron Kraft. 2nd time today. He's been the assist guy for Diebler.
Here's a block by Lauderdale. Kraft off the high pick and roll. Heads to the line on the personal by Chris Moore.
Yeah, this is good basketball right here. Watch Aaron Kraft keep it alive, find Diebler. I mentioned the all-time leading scorer in Ohio history, 3,208 points. 2nd, Jay Burson, a guy I coached. Luke Kennard, 3rd, now at the Detroit Pistons. And some guy named LeBron James, 4th. You ready for this? Number 5, Bob Huggins.
And also appearing on that list, but not yet named, Jerry Lucas.
Pretty good player.
Jim Jackson.
Another guy I helped recruit at Ohio State. Spent 8 years in that state and 2 as a Buckeye. Great basketball from Youngstown down to Cincinnati.
Aaron Kraft. First free throws of the game for Scarlet and Gray. 37-33. Arnett gives. Withers could not guide that one in from close range. And the whistle, jump ball.
Good hustle by Sean Barnett. And probably the most accomplished player on this team, Sean Barnett, drafted by the Iowa Energy in the old D League. There's good hustle right here, both ways. You see Barnett. All he did was score 2,300 points at Wingate. Couple NBA training camps. I notice he's wearing the NBA socks.
37-33. Scarlet and Gray by 4. Diebler steps back. PrimeTime Players struggled a bit with that outside shot here in this second period. A hot start from outside the arc early. Barnett trying to get it going again, and does. Sean Barnett launching and hitting his first 3 of the game, 37-36.
See how easily that ball moved? No Velcro from Withers. He got rid of it quickly.
Rogers protects, kicks it up top to David Lighty. Scarlet and Gray reset with Rogers. And the ball finds its way to Dallas Lauderdale for the jam. First basket.
There's a mismatch right here.
Over the rim. And Aaron Kraft there to take it away. Diebler laces it up.
You think those two have mental telepathy or what? Aaron Kraft knew exactly where Diebler was, and Diebler a much better shooter when he's in rhythm rather than forcing.
42-36. Barnett. 10 on the shot clock. 20 seconds to go in the half. Withers runs into traffic and a foul on Scarlet and Gray.
There you go. Kraft driving. Those Diebler's going to run the lane and pull up. And those two guys have connected many times during their Ohio State careers. Now both playing in Europe successfully.
3 threes in the Sunday win over the Matadors. 12 total points and 28 bench minutes for Diebler. And he's hit 3 threes in this quarter. Now Withers to the line.
Aaron Kraft looking over here, want to know if that should have been a charge.
Saturday on ABC, the 15th WNBA All-Star Game. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. The Target Center in Minneapolis staging the game this year. New format with Elena Delle Donne and Candace Parker, the 2 captains picking their teams from the pool of All-Stars. You can watch it always streaming live on the ESPN app from anywhere.
And Bob, let me tell you about Aaron Kraft and the respect he has. He started out in the G League. He's been in Italy, played this year in France, and he's going to play this year for Budućnost, which most people have never heard of, but they're a really good team from Montenegro. They're going to play in the Euro League, which means Aaron Kraft is going to play at the highest level in Europe next year. Euro League, great basketball, just produced a Player of the Year, Luka Doncic. And so he's having a really good career. He's had to put medical school on hold, although last week he took his MCATs. He's playing well in Europe, making some good money.
And the buzzer sounds before they can get the shot away. And the first half ends, but the Scarlet and Gray do come back to take a 5-point lead into the locker room. 42-37. So the half is history, and Aaron Kraft and the Scarlet and Gray with the lead. Here's Jen.
Thanks, Bob. Aaron, you had a tough job replacing the production of Jared Sullinger. How would you evaluate how that change has affected you first half, how this team's handled it?
Yeah, he's got us 30 and 20 last game, so it's definitely going to be an adjustment for us. And even if you throw a great player in there like Greg, he does something different. So it took us a little bit to get loose, and I think we were playing a little too pretty in the first quarter. So we did a good job the second quarter. We got to keep it in the second half.
What do you see yourself adjusting in this second half?
I just think when we pick up the pressure, it gets them going a little faster. They're not as comfortable shooting threes. They have to make threes to beat us, and we know that. So run them off the line, make them play a little faster, we'll get out.
You're obviously the head of the snake at point guard, but this team isn't very deep when it comes to guards. Does PrimeTime Players' small size challenge y'all in that respect?
I don't think so. You know, I would go to war with these guys any day. We've all used to playing 30, 40 minutes a game, so I'm not worried about it. We can get guys in, and we just got to do better the second half.
Thanks, Aaron. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Bob.
Aaron Kraft and the Scarlet and Gray squad welcoming Greg Oden back onto the basketball floor tonight. His first game played in 3 years. Scarlet and Gray 42, PrimeTime Players 37 at the half from Atlanta. A TBT.
Welcome back to the basketball tournament here in Atlanta, Georgia on ESPN. We have had so much fun with a new twist this year, the Elam ending. It has made the follow-up, the last 4 minutes of so many games, incredibly exciting. Nick Elam is the author of this theory. He's also a professor at Ball State University. Nick, you've had this theory for a while, but now you're getting to see it play out in reality. The more games, the larger your sample size. How do you evaluate how it's going?
Well, the more and more I see, the more and more I believe in the idea. And, you know, at some point after the tournament, I'll sit down and really dissect the numbers. I'll go possession by possession and see some things. But I've really been relying on the eye test right now. I've tried to get to as many games as I can, going all over to different sites, really getting a feel for the atmosphere in the arena. And you really get that sense of just excitement in the arena. When normally the air would go out of the arena, and people really just going crazy for those game-ending shots. And you know, again, these shots that even in close games or even in games that are decided by more than 3 points, really look and feel and sound like a buzzer beater. So that's really encouraging and really gotten a lot of positive feedback.
You've got big fans in us, that's for sure. And like any scholar, you're not done. There may be some tweaks coming along the way.
Oh yeah, the elim ending, it's just a baby right now, and we're going with kind of the basic stripped down version. We knew that we wanted to see kind of how prevalent and how effective different strategies would be, what coaches would try, and we want to kind of push the limits of it. And so seeing it now, that'll give us a better idea of what to fine tune, what to tighten up here or there. It's only going to get better. So whether you like it or not yet, it is going to get better. And so I'm encouraged by what I've seen so far.
All right, we like it, you like it. What about the public? Have you gotten any reaction from other people wanting to implement it in their leagues?
So yes, and that's a big step for me because for years it was me reaching out to leagues and events trying to promote this idea, and now within the last couple of weeks, getting leagues and events reaching out to me saying, hey, we want to implement this in our league or our event, and wanting to know a little bit more about the details and things like that. So that's really exciting for me. Is again, I know TBT has really been a trendsetter in a lot of ways, and I think this is just one more big way that they are a trendsetter. And also, what's really fun is again, I'm looking at this with a critical eye, trying to figure out how to make it better. And now we're doing a lot of crowdsourcing, and people are getting in on the act and saying, hey, we like this concept, but here's a suggestion for here or there. So all that kind of feedback, positive feedback, critical feedback, scrutiny, all those things, that's what helps to make this concept even better. So bring it on, I say.
Thank you so much for your time, and we can't wait to see version 2.0.
Thank you.
Be sure to keep it right here on ESPN. We have the next half of Scarlet and Gray versus PrimeTime Players coming up in just a moment.
You know what they say when you walk in the door at the varsity. What'll you have? What'll you have,
You're breaking
friend?
my heart. You're breaking my heart, Bob Rathman.
You're not too hungry, are you?
Oh, man.
Game 2?
No, it's not the game. It's the varsity.
Yeah,
but
it's not too far from here.
Not too far from here.
Bob Rathman, Fran Fraschillo, welcome back to Atlanta as the TBT rolls on. And we saw Scarlet and Gray, Fran, really locked down on the primetime players that second quarter, held them to 12 points.
Yeah, they really did. And primetime players can really shoot the three, and they are shooting the three. But Scarlet and Gray had a good defensive game plan. And really, both teams are shooting the three well. Right at 50%, 16 threes between them. That was Curtis Withers. The ball moves well for this primetime team. And Withers, the former Charlotte 49er, got it going. And but for Scarlet and Gray, Buford knocking it down. Easy shot for these guys that play overseas. It's a shorter line. Aaron Kraft knocking it down. Ravenel knocking it down. Diebler knocking it down. So without Sullinger, they needed that kind of offensive weaponry from the perimeter.
One player for primetime that is being counted on heavily in the second half is Terrell Smith, and he's with Jen.
Indeed, Bob. Terrell, you're not only the leading scorer for your squad so far, you're also the locker room leader. What was your message to this group at halftime about how to take this second half?
Just play hard, man. Play hard, play our game, be aggressive on offense. You know, just come out here and do what we've been doing. You know, I think we're losing our identity right now. That's a big physical team. We just got to stay in and fight.
Is there a way you can use your smaller size to your advantage?
Get up and down the court and run, man. Make him run. Greg Oden's a big guy. It's hard to guard him in the half court, but we just got to run him to death.
Now, I got to ask you, I talked to you after the last game Sunday night when you won, and you said you couldn't wait to get back to work and see the reaction from your coworkers. What was everybody's reaction when you clocked in at work Monday morning?
It was crazy, man. You know, to see a regular guy like me play on ESPN and actually get a win and hit the shot, it was surreal. So it was fun, and, you know, they enjoyed it, and I enjoyed playing hard, and that's what I like to do. Basketball is a fun sport. I like playing it.
Well, we're looking forward to maybe you doing it again tonight. Best of luck with it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Bob?
Yeah, we like watching these guys playing the TBT, Fran.
Absolutely. This is their moment in the sun, and TBT allows these guys that have all had successful careers, maybe not on TV as much as guys that play at Ohio State. This is fun for them.
We direct your attention to the primetime three-point shooting. That's their game plan. That's what they have to do. They've got to hit threes to not only stay in the game, but win the game.
And interestingly, we see a zone for the first time tonight from Scarlet and Gray, and sometimes you can guard that line better with the zone because you're already in position.
Primetime players trying to get that three-point look. They have to back up to get it. And it slips through Barnett's fingers. 2 seconds. Deep one on the wing. No good by Terrell Smith.
That's a shot he hit last weekend a couple times.
Smith was unconscious in the Sunday game against Big X. Big Greg going to work, and that one's denied. Terrell Smith went 9 of 15 from the floor against Big X. They were all threes.
14 on the weekend. Pretty good weekend's work before he had to return to his real job on Monday morning.
Withers a little long with this one, and Scarlet and Gray looking to stretch the lead out as Aaron Kraft drives. And fouled down the baseline by Chris Moore.
Defensive foul call on number 2.
Well, guys, if you're wondering what Terrell Smith's regular day job is, he's a cell phone salesman. So he puts in at least 40 hours a week at that job. And then also all of this time and effort he puts in with primetime players and the amount of minor league games that he's won. So truly, these guys, it is a dream come true for them to be playing on this stage, and it's so much fun to watch them compete and do so well against a highly pedigreed team like Scarlet and Gray.
Can he get me a good data plan, Jen?
I bet he can.
Okay.
Unlimited.
You give him some good calls tonight, I bet he could hook you up.
A nice tip in by PJ Heath.
You know about the cell phones. It's all about the data, Bob.
44-39, Scarlet and Gray. Lighty. Oden. And Withers takes down the rebound for the primetime players.
And I thought it might he overpassed that time. Oh, that's nice.
As Withers lays it in. Curtis Withers having a hard time getting up at the other end. Oden going up, and he slams into Terrell Smith. Smith the foul, his first.
And good look ahead. That ball was actually deflected by Greg Oden, and Withers stayed with it. And goes down, ties the shoelace a little tighter. He graduated from Charlotte in 2006. He's still playing professional basketball, most recently Bob in South America, and he has a son, Jalen, who plays in Charlotte, who is a top 100 recruit this year at 6'8", one of the best players in the state of North Carolina. And it's a great story because Curtis had his son at a young age as a teenager, and Curtis is still playing, and his son is about to play college basketball next year.
Talk about living the dream. Curtis Withers has played in 14 different countries as a professional player.
He has had to get a couple of new passports, I guarantee you.
Oden. Chris Moore brings it down. Just watching the ebb and flow of this game, you would think that Scarlet and Gray would have a much bigger lead. But credit to the primetime players hanging in there. Kraft lays it in.
And that's what he does. He is crafty. Aaron Kraft out of Findlay, Ohio. You know, in my mind, one of the most popular Ohio State Buckeyes ever. When you think of Ohio State basketball, Aaron Kraft as a fan favorite is right up there at the top.
Stepping into the three-pointer, William Buford. His playing time was limited in the first half with those 3 offensive fouls. Barnett going up, and that's going to be an offensive foul. Sean Barnett's second.
Good job by Leon Rogers, the former Kent State Flash. Watch right here, Aaron Kraft weaving his way through traffic, finishing at the rim.
And William Buford nailing his second three-pointer of the game as Scarlet and Gray stretches the lead to 7 in Atlanta on the TBT. The Sports Arena at Georgia State University in Atlanta. Super 16 continues. Out of the Midwest bracket, Scarlet and Gray, the top seed, now leading by 7. Aaron Kraft and company seizing control here with this late flurry. 5:39 to play in the third, and stay with us because that Elam ending is right around the corner in the fourth.
So Georgia State, I believe this is one of those places that the left-hander coached.
It was romping and stomping on this sideline.
And I believe the left-hander, Lefty Drizel, is going into the Basketball Hall of Fame this fall, this September.
At long last.
Yep.
Something that should have happened decades ago. Kraft a little short with this one.
Of course, Ron Hunter is the coach here now, and he coached his son RJ, former first-round pick of the Boston Celtics. Saw RJ this summer in the Las Vegas Summer League.
Who didn't you see?
Oh, man. Summer League is like the epicenter of basketball in the summertime now.
Barnett. They need that 3 ball so desperately. Nothing inside.
Nice.
50 to 43. And the lob to Lauderdale.
Well, Aaron Kraft did a great job, Bob. At the last second, he looked away from Lauderdale, then threw the lob. And Lauderdale was served it on a platter.
Lauderdale boards. Kraft and the Scarlet and Gray coming again. Buford. And now the Ohio State Buckeye alums are starting to stretch it out. Primetime Players, that $2 million dream is starting to fade. 4:22 to go in the third. Scarlet and Gray by a dozen. Scarlet and Gray 55, Primetime Players 43, and the maestro, Aaron Kraft, doing his thing.
Absolutely. Got a bucket on that last 10-0 run, couple of assists. Just dropping dimes. This is nice right here. Watch the look away at the last second. Oop. Serves it up. And he obviously, like Diebler, knows exactly where William Buford wants it. Former teammate, William Buford out of Toledo, Ohio. Aaron Kraft down I-75, about an hour and a half or so from Findlay, Ohio. Maybe an hour.
Scarlet and Gray now 10 of 18. You see Kraft stuffing the stat sheet. Scarlet and Gray 10 of 18 on those threes. And despite the fact that the Primetime Players had 8 3-pointers in the game, overall they're shooting just 38%.
The one thing you've noticed, especially in the second and the third quarters, is those Ohio State Scarlet and Gray guys, they are getting out on the three-point line and they are chasing Primetime off the line. You'll see it right here. You don't want to give that up, but they do challenge, Bob.
And fumbled out of bounds. The ball belongs to Primetime Players.
You know this from watching great players in the NBA. Most underrated defensive stat is challenging shots.
Mm-hmm. It affects that shooting percentage big time.
Absolutely.
Deep post. And no, the Buckeyes take it away. Lighty brings it ahead. This foul charge to Terrell Smith. From the coaching standpoint, put yourself, Fran, on the Primetime bench.
Well, I think, you know, Terrell Smith said it to Jen Hale. They've got to speed this game up, especially on offense, and get the game and get the game going and shoot quickly off transition. They're not getting it done in the half court, and Scooney Penn loves that Scarlet and Gray defense. They're tightening the noose.
Yo, hold on, listen. But here's my thing, like I was saying at halftime. Tell somebody to get it. Yeah, and shoot it. You was back a little bit. Yeah, not, like at least close. At least put your hand on your man. You too far back. Just get it. Make it all. They ain't made that. And you long head. That's all you gotta do. Make them. You know, so put your hand on the body. That's all. They ain't made the skip pass yet, man. Get off your man. Okay, hold on. With this lineup, we want to go spread, but a little less spread. Now we got 2 bigs in. Let's run point through. I know he's true, but he just got it. I ain't right away. I don't want my motherfucker to be open. He'll shoot his first one. Nah, I don't want to do that right now. But if they get an open look, I don't want to know. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to. That's why I stay man. I don't want to get my open look right now. If they do get it by, it's got to be a hard-earned one. You know what what I'm saying? We still got 0 fouls, man. Hey, listen, it's like you're going to cover a guard. Someone's going to penetrate, so you got to be able to come off the bounce.
Saturday, the International Champions Cup continues on ESPN and ESPN Deportes with Manchester United, Liverpool at 5 Eastern, then Bayern Munich, Man City, finishing up with Barcelona, Tottenham at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. All 3 matches are available and streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. The 6th Annual International Champions Cup is presented by Heineken. Bob Rathman, Fran Fraschilla, Jen Hale, welcoming you to our coverage of the TBT. 4 games here in Atlanta tomorrow as the Super 16 continues through the weekend. Scarlet and Gray looking to meet Jimmer Fredette and company in the next round.
How good would that matchup be? Aaron Craft defensively, Jimmer Fredette on offense.
The PTPers forcing a turnover here. They have got to start whittling this gap down, as that Elam ending will be kicking in just 5 minutes into the 4th period.
And I think the problem now, if you're going to feed your post guy Presley on a screen and roll, remember the size of Ohio State is going to make it prohibitive for you to score. You're better off just shooting those threes. That's your game.
Quick hands by Chris Moore to knock it away. Chris Moore out of Morganton, North Carolina. Played at Freedom High School there. Then on to Charleston Southern.
And he had a pretty good game earlier this season in the East Coast Basketball League. He had 67, made 17 threes.
This foul on Chris Moore is his 3rd.
And you know, Bob, you get 67 against the Carolina Thunder, you are working.
Free throws coming as Courtney Pigram steps up to the line.
It's a young man that played at East Tennessee State, and like so many of these players in the TBT, has played around the world. Places like Germany, Greece, G League, China. One thing was impressive about him last week, he was an outstanding on-ball defender. And right now he's giving Aaron Craft a little blow, and he's picking up Sean Barnett, causing a little havoc right there.
And no Taylor Battle.
Yes, no Taylor Battle.
Tonight.
We understand is getting married also. I think if you're Jared Sullinger, hey, look, you postpone that trip to Aruba a few days, man.
We got
Get back
$2 million on the line
yeah.
here.
Do you want?
Now, Scarlet and Gray will play again this weekend on Sunday if they advance. And Jen, might we see the big fella?
That is a great question, guys. Keep your fingers crossed. I asked him that last week and he laughed. He said that's really up to his new boss, the official new wife.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't rule out any possibilities, but I also can't make any promises. I tell you what, with the way they're playing and the obvious adjustment time it took to get used to not having him, Aaron Craft talked about that in our halftime interview. Perhaps that'll give her a little, she'll have a little pity on the guys and give the all okay.
She might say, look, big fella, they need more rebounding. You got to get your butt up to Atlanta. Well, she might want some of that winnings.
Barnett with his 3rd foul. Bill Pigram back to the line. 2:45 to go in the 3rd quarter and 3 free throws to come. A 2,000-point-plus scorer for the Bucks in his East Tennessee career.
Now, he's no Mr. Jennings, but he's a pretty good player.
That's
Had
right.
a good career, yep. Mr. Jennings, one of the all-time great East Tennessee State Buccaneers. That team now coached by my buddy Steve Forbes, who always seems to have East Tennessee State in postseason contention.
Out goes P.J. Heath, and back in comes Terrell Smith. 3rd free throw for Pigram. 32 years old. Ready and misses. Presley the rebound.
Yeah, and here's where you got to speed up the game now and spread out, drive it, kick it. I don't think you have a lot of success inside.
Yeah, a foul here against Scarlet and Gray. This will go against Dallas Lauderdale, second on him. The PrimeTime Players have missed their last 6 shots. They've gone 4-0-6 without a point. And making the chance for a comeback even tougher as Barnett misses and three-point play opportunity goes by the board, so he'll shoot 2 free throws. But you're right, Fran, they have got to get hot outside that line. This deficit's at 16. You got 2:23 to go in the third quarter, and that Elam ending
is coming. Yep, and it's going to not favor them. There's a familiar face. You know that guy, Bob.
Right.
Evan Turner.
Evan Turner, assistant coach.
Yeah, who is playing now for the Portland Trailblazers. One of the most engaging guys in the NBA. Great personality.
And another former Naismith winner.
Yeah, exactly. What a career he had at Ohio State before entering the NBA.
59-45.
Got a pretty good deal in Portland when he signed.
I'll say.
Yep. Evan could take us to the varsity tonight. A couple hot dogs, fries.
Well, and the second foul on Ravenel, and that drive-through is open late. You can drive right in.
You know what I love about him? He loves Ohio State. He is actively involved in their program. Yeah, I'm going to keep that in mind, Bob. I don't have a car. You do.
I'll drop you off. You can eat all night.
I'll Uber back to the hotel. Oh, man. You're going to leave me really with a food coma over at the varsity? You're really going to do that?
More. Oh, they just can't get one to go. A little soft jumper on the baseline by Barnett.
Well, they still have time. They've got all of this third quarter and then the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter before the Elam ending, and you gotta, again, get up and down, speed the game up.
Pigram stops the break.
And one of those international fouls that you see because of Scarlet and Gray not in the bonus. Actually a pretty good play right there by Courtney Pigram.
1:34 to play in this period. Scarlet and Gray by a dozen, looking to advance to take on Team Fredette on Sunday.
Oh, I think
Barnett gives it up. Nice drive and a better rejection. Dallas Lauderdale. Buford for 3. Mike Davis underneath, and the lane is missed by Presley.
I think Presley got spooked that time by Lauderdale. That was an easy one. He knows it.
59-47 it remains. Nice soft touch. As Evan Ravenel now has 7.
Quietly good minutes tonight for Evan Ravenel.
Wow. And that is going to be a good basket, say the referees. Presley with the dunk.
See, if that ball did not hit the rim, it's not the FIBA rules. The ball must hit the rim, and then you can play with it any way you want. I think that time it was dunked into the basket. That ball might have been over the cylinder.
61-49. Lauderdale sets the screen. The fake, the corkscrew, back to Lauderdale, but he's fouled. Chris Moore, his 4th.
Let's go back and watch that last basket. Watch that ball in the air now. And if that ball, oh no, that's good play. That's good. That's good officiating. Absolutely. That happened so quickly. Once that ball is on the rim, it's live for both teams. And That's the FIBA rule. I'd love to see that rule in the NBA and college. You know the other rule I like that I would actually recommend to the TBT? When the shot clock, when there's an offensive rebound, if it's a 24-second clock, we play with a 30. I would reset the shot clock to 15.
Yes. And fans, you'll see that in the WNBA All-Star game tomorrow on ABC.
I like it. I like it. I think it speeds the game up, and you can coach that play.
And the buzzer sounds before Mike Davis can get the shot off in the corner. 3 quarters in the books at the TBT in Atlanta. The Super 16 matching Scarlet and Gray and the PrimeTime Players. Scarlet and Gray 61, PrimeTime 49, 4th quarter, and the Elam ending next. The basketball tournament from Atlanta is brought to you by Puma Basketball and by Dollar Shave Club. However you get ready, welcome to the club. Dollar Shave Club has everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best at dollarshaveclub.com. The breathtaking skyline of the capital city of the South, Atlanta, Georgia. And we welcome you to the Super 16 of the TBT. Bob Rathman, Fran Fraschilla, and Jen Hale. The varsity called. Your order is ready.
I like
so we
it.
could just swing by and pick it up. 4th quarter begins, and we'll play down to the 4-minute mark. First dead ball under 4, and that's where the target score for the Elam ending will be established. And Scarlet and Gray looking good right now.
Greg Oden back in the game, and John Dieber was standing next to us and said, hey, how about the big guy? Great to see him out there.
Yes, it is. Heartwarming.
Yes.
Those are the details on the Elam ending. And Oden was held trying to get that rebound after the missed 3 by Rogers. Clock stops. First dead ball into 4. And the target score is set. But the leading team's score adding 7 to that. And the first team to reach the target score wins.
And that's why for primetime players right now, you have to begin your comeback strategy now. You have to cut into that 12-point lead and get it down to a manageable number.
Oden still has that soft touch.
He sure does. He's made 5 shots tonight, and I can think 3 of them were that 10, 12-foot pull-up variety.
The primetime players, and this one's going to be knocked away by Kraft. But the primetime Fran. They need that 3 ball so desperately, and they were 0 for 6 in the third.
Well, give Scarlet and Gray credit because they knew, and Aaron Kraft said it at halftime, they knew they had to take away the 3-point line, and they have. They've switched out. They have forced the ball off the line, and they've contested virtually every jump shot.
Well, guys, you were talking about Aaron Kraft and him taking the MCAT last week before the first round of games. Asked him how it went, and he said half of it went really well, half of it he's not so sure about. And here's the kicker. You got to wait like 6 weeks to get your score. So he's just playing the waiting game right now, trying not to think about that and focus on basketball. He told me regardless of the score, he is going to go play with Montenegro next season. You mentioned he was signed there. And then he'll have a decision to make. What, does he start applying to med schools? Or does he go for another year overseas and continue the basketball career? You know, he wants to be an orthopedic surgeon. Such an intelligent, sharp guy. I'd let him operate on me, would you?
I would, but if I were him, Jen, I'd keep playing professional basketball and sock that money away.
Oden steps out of bounds. And the ball goes back to prime time.
Oden felt like he was assaulted. Yeah, that's tough right there for Oden. But that's not.
And the foul on Presley would be his 4th. PrimeTime desperately to knife into this lead before the 4-minute mark.
I think all things considered, Greg Oden looks pretty good tonight. He's not necessarily fleet of foot, but seems like he's playing pain-free.
Gets deep post up underneath. And PrimeTime able to deny. Diebler went for the steal and got it off the leg of Moore out of bounds. But whether Greg Oden, I mean, he's in double figures, but even if he doesn't score a point, it's so heartwarming to see him back on the floor.
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
any level.
Absolutely.
With what that young man has been through in his life.
Yeah, no question about it.
He had a chance to play in only 105 NBA games. #1 pick. The world in front of him after that remarkable run at Ohio State. It's just great to see him back out there.
And he's getting his money's worth right here on that offensive foul. Little chicken wing. More than a chicken wing. It was like a chicken breast. Cutter.
Kraft. And that's going to be a jump ball.
That's Aaron Kraft at his best. Yep. Chris Moore looking for a foul, and it looked like Aaron Kraft reached in.
And I think they are going to call a foul.
Oh, boy.
I thought one referee had signaled jump. A held ball, but Aaron Kraft is indeed whistled for his first.
Well,
2:50 away from the Elam ending. 63-52.
that's a good switch out, huh?
Move those feet, big fella. And good D by Oden. Kraft grabs it, goes, lays it in.
How about Kraft? Look at him, he's everywhere.
And the wing 3 is good by Terrell Smith. They need more of that, and they need it quickly. 65-55.
And to your point, they've got 2.5 minutes now to get this game into single figures and take their chances with the Elam ending. And they are kind of ratcheting up the heat a little bit. Right
Tipped
there.
and a steal.
Yep.
Chris Moore has it. He's fouled in transition. He was trying to get that shot away, but the officials aren't buying it. Leon Rogers with his 4th.
Yeah, I thought this almost could have been an intentional foul right here. Let's see if Rogers, there's the quick hands by Moore. And yeah, that was close. I thought you could have made the argument he played the ball, but that was awfully close. But again, Bob, an opportunity for PrimeTime Players to get this game down to 8 or 7.
3 team fouls on Scarlet and Gray as Oden comes out. Lauderdale comes in. Sean Barnett, single coverage by Diebler, spins in, drops it in, and a foul.
And this is exactly the strategy. We saw this last night when the defending champs, Overseas Elite, gave up the lead. Watch Sean Barnett. This is a guy that's been in 2 NBA training camps. He takes Diebler down low, gets it done, and now primetime players starting to make it interesting. And if you're Scarlet and Gray, you have to keep playing offensively, and you can't play like you have the lead and the clock is going to run out, because at the end of the 4-minute mark, there is no more clock.
So Barnett and the primetime players get a three-pointer the old-fashioned way. And with 5:45 to go, it's 65-58. Diebler and Kraft. Shot clock at 17. Aaron Kraft, opposite corner three for Lady, no. And the primetime players are on the move. Barnett will drive, hangs, hits! Sean Barnett was 16, and we've got a 5-point ball game. Timeout, Scarlet and Gray, an 8-0 run. Here come the primetime players in prime time from Atlanta on the PTP.
Well, Sean Barnett bringing this primetime players team back with some timely hoops. This guy's a player. He played at Wingate University, Division II All-American, has played G League basketball, had a couple of cups of coffee in NBA training camps. And you may not have ever heard of him before, but this dude can fill it up. Drafted by the Iowa Energy when they were the Chicago Bulls D-League team back in 2009, and he can play.
Greatest player that conference has ever produced by far, the South Atlantic Conference that Wingate played in. He scored over 2,300 college points, and the next closest guy is 350 points away in conference history. 65-60. Can he lead prime time to a big comeback here in Atlanta? A minute away from the Elam ending. Aaron Kraft to the hole. Tipped by Lauderdale. And the primetime players getting a second wind. Victor Street Jr. gives it up. Here's Barnett going to work one more time.
I like it. I'd let him operate.
Switched against the big.
Yep.
Baseline runner, no. And the board belongs to William Buford.
Now, if you're Ohio State here, you have to continue to look to score and not melt the clock. We saw Overseas Elite put it on cruise control.
Illegal screen on Lauderdale. And that opens the door for primetime players, Fran, because we're 28 seconds away from the Elam ending, and a three could really be beneficial.
That was an easy call to make, Bob. And hey, kudos to these officials tonight, both games. They have been on top of it. You've seen very little back and forth between the players and the officials. These guys are high-level guys.
65-60. Barnett again. Lauderdale has him at the top. Now Davis. Still plenty of clock left. Spinning inside. Little baby hook no for Presley. And now Ohio State comes up. Will they take the timeout? No, it's going to be a turnover. Barnett. Dribble drive, high glass, no. Offensive rebound, loose ball. Here's Moore. That's blocked. Davis for three. Lauderdale the rebound, timeout, Scarlet and Gray. Now the target score is set. Add 7 to 65. That's the score that will go on the board to determine the winner. The Elam ending in effect in Atlanta.
All on your forehead, God almighty. Lord. We good. I mean, that done. We got to fight through the
Good shots, but we got to look for rail in transition, bro. Look for it. They losing. Everybody. Losing.
Yeah. Look for everybody.
Hey, Gordon, y'all, for whatever reason. The pass going to beat that dribble in transition. Yeah. Rail is open in transition, bro.
Hey, right now, hey, Red, right now is the biggest possession right now. We can't let them cut this to 5 to start the Elam. We got to get it. Hey, we got to get a stop, get a basket, put the pressure on them right now.
Yeah. Hey, do not leave 33.
Yeah, let's God almighty, we need those 3 free throws. That's ridiculous, man. God.
Hey, we got to get this stopped up.
It's the 5 to start the Elam. We got to get it. Hey, we got to get a stop, get a basket, put the pressure on them right now.
Yeah. Hey, do not leave 33.
Head coach Chris Thomas in that primetime players huddle. The target score has been established. 72. First team to hit 72 wins this game.
And to me, Bob, the fun thing about the TBT is we're not solving world peace with the Elam ending, and we're not revolutionizing the game. It's just a fun way to play the game in the summertime. The bracket celebration was picked up by the NCAA. There are some people that love the Elam ending, others don't. But I think this is good, fun summer basketball played at a high level.
It was Scarlet and Gray's ball when they called that timeout to establish the number at 72. But here's an interesting thing, Fran, to think about for primetime. They have only 2 team fouls.
They can stay aggressive, and we know what we saw last night is the team ahead. You know, I thought Overseas Elite played not to lose last night. Let's see how the Buckeyes handle this situation.
Aaron Kraft wiggles his way inside and scores.
One guy that will not let Scarlet Gray lose is that guy, because he has been vintage Aaron Kraft tonight.
Scarlet and Gray now 5 points away. Davis creates space, shoots an air ball, and Scarlet and Gray with it. Aaron Kraft works off the screen. Jumper. Barnett has it.
To me, it's Barnett and Smith.
Drives in on Lauderdale, kicks and throws it away.
Good solid defense by John Diebler. He did not let Barnett get deep enough. Scooty Penn's just going to, well, now he's not going to put the ball in Kraft's hands. But
blocking foul on Moore.
There's that third foul you talked about, so it doesn't really penalize primetime players.
it will be interesting, Fran, to watch as the tournament unfolds this weekend and next to see how these clubs evolve with using the Elam ending and the strategy inside these last 4 minutes.
It's a work in progress because it's so new and there's not enough data. Look at that. Look at
Beautiful
that.
move. Aaron Kraft.
We talked.
Take it over.
Yeah, we talked about the quickness of primetime players, but they have not had any answers for Aaron Kraft.
And that's a travel. Now the Scarlet Gray can win it with a 3. The target score at 72. Scarlet and Gray was 69, and Aaron Kraft just slicing up the primetime defense.
I'd put medical school on hold a couple more years if I were Aaron Kraft.
Kraft driving. This time, dribble it off his foot and turns it over. Barnett moves in.
See,
Steve Blue's got it.
Yeah, and I think if you're primetime players right there, you got to start thinking 3 ball.
They've got to score 12 to get to 72. Oh, a 3-pointer will end it here for Scarlet and Gray. Smith with the reach in. His 3rd. And it will be shot out of bounds. That's the 4th team foul on primetime players. The Ohio State alums will be shooting the rest of the way. Shot clock sets to 20. Game clock has been turned off. First team to 72. Buford. Nope. Trying to win it with that 3. Lighty spins. 3 to win it. Good. Scarlet and Gray advances. William Buford with his 4th 3-pointer of the night. And the Scarlet and Gray Jimmer Fredette matchup is finalized.
Woo, Aaron Kraft and Jimmer Fredette, they will go toe-to-toe.
It is going to be a fun weekend in the ATL.
Well, David Lighty gets the offensive rebound, and it looked like they were looking for the 3 ball the whole way, and there's William Buford out of Toledo, Ohio. Former McDonald's All-American back, I believe, in 2008. Knocking it down and sending the Scarlet and Gray to the round of 8.
So 2 nights in the books here in Atlanta at the 2018 TBT. Let's update the brackets for you before they do it officially over on the wall. The top 2 seeds in the Midwest have advanced. Number 1, Scarlet and Gray. Number 2, Team Fredette. They meet Sunday. And the bottom half of the bracket will start play tomorrow afternoon. Challenge ALS is the top seed. Sons of Westwood, then Gale Forest and Everland Drive. That's all coming up tomorrow. But right now, look who's going to advance this team. The big fella, Greg Oden.
He knows where to put it.
Back on the floor.
Oh, maybe he doesn't know where to put it.
And the Scarlet and Gray make it official. Greg Oden, first game on the floor in 3 years, subbing in for Jared Sullinger, who's getting married this weekend, and just a wonderful story unfolding. And they're so happy for Greg, giving him the honor to advance them in the bracket.
Solid minutes tonight for the big guy. He made some shots, defended the rim pretty well, and he played with a little bit of a smile on his face, and that's great to see.
The star of the game, and certainly of the last few minutes to nail it down, is Aaron Kraft. Jim.
Absolutely, Bob. The leader for this team in points, rebounds, and assists, Aaron Kraft. Let me ask you about your teammates first. Walk me through that shot by David Lighty to win this one.
Will shot it, actually. Dave made the good pass, but that's huge for us. If Will gets going, we are a much better team. He struggled last week. Got a little warm today, so hopefully that carries over to Sunday.
Now, primetime players certainly made a good run there at the end. They made up some ground fast. How did you sustain?
Yeah, well, the way they shoot the 3, we knew they can make a run at any time. And with this ending, you never know how it's going to go. So I think we just really needed to slow down a little bit, not get too anxious, and not overreact to them making shots.
Your boy Greg Oden, he was so much fun to watch tonight. Is there any chance you keep him and Sully?
You know, if Jared comes back, I don't see why we wouldn't. Greg looked great out there, you know. That's the first time I've seen him go up and down like that in a long, long time. It's just great to have him out here.
Let me know how he's moving tomorrow. We might need some ice. All right, you got Team Fredette now on Sunday. What do you do to prepare between now and then?
Oh, well, definitely rest. We got some guys that are pretty old, like you said. Gio hasn't moved, so we have to rest, eat well, get ice, and just lock in. You know, they have obviously great players. Jimmer's playing out of his mind right now, so it's going to be a good time. You know, I wanted to guard him my freshman year in college. I get an opportunity to do it today, Sunday, so it's going to be a good time.
You sure do. Thanks so much, Aaron. Congrats.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Guys.
And those old competitive fires from college are still burning.
That is must-watch TV on Sunday. Aaron Craft and Jimmer Fredette. And the way Jimmer played tonight, he's a show by himself. You throw Aaron Craft in that mix, that's going to be fun, Bob.
Can't wait to see it. As day 2 of the weekend of the Super 16 of the TBT comes to a close, and Greg Oden with a big smile on his face, and why not? He's playing the game he loves. He's back. He's on ESPN, and the world had a chance to watch him play tonight, and a lot of fun in Atlanta. That's it for our coverage. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. SportsCenter is next.